all agree that Alligator Loki is definitely a fan favorite, knew I had to take a stab at this look. I'll get into how I created the mouthpiece and the horns. Take some Mehron Skin Prep Pro to prep my skin for the makeup. Glued my eyebrows down with a glue stick, then apply a latex bald cap using Telesis 8F adhesive. Go ahead and glue it down, trim off any excess. A little bit of latex stippled the edges to blend it better into the skin. Mehron Paradise Paint, taking Amazon Green for the base color, applying it to the tops of the head and shoulders. Now, with the Mehron Paradise Paint, taking Mehron and white, a mixture for the underbelly color. Fast forward 2 hours, and I've already painted the scale textures on my arms. Now to carry that up to the chest. Using the Mehron light brown, and start to draw out a sort of grid pattern. And from there, creating rounder shapes within each square. Now using the white Mehron, add some highlights on the top parts of the scales. Mehron dark green to create the scales on the green area. Mehron Paradise Paint and lime for the highlights on the green scales. Go in and throw some brighter highlights in with Mehron white edge. Now that all the scales are drawn out and highlighted, take Mehron edge and black and outline each individual scale. Once the chest and shoulders were complete, moved on to the head. Doing the same thing with the dark green to create the scale patterns, and making sure to kind of stagger the scale shapes so it doesn't look too much like a perfect grid. And this is about the time you're going to wonder if this was really a good idea. Still doing the same as before. Now let's make that mouth. Aluminum foil to get the basic shape of the mouth on my life cast. And then taking white foam clay, start to draft out 2 separate pieces. Did forget to mark where my mouth was, so lifted it all up, marked where my mouth was so that I knew that the 2 pieces are separated in the right area. And smooth it all down with water. Thick amount of product will puff once it dries. Let's go ahead and cut that mouth free. I also took it off the form and removed the aluminum foil. Began to build up the snout and the nostril areas, made some teeth ahead of time so that they could fully dry. Roll out some fresh material and lay it along the inner part of the mouth for the gum area to push the teeth into. And try to line up teeth to go over the lower jaw. Once that was dry, went ahead and built up any areas as needed, and building out that lip area a little better. Time to build out the shapes better on the lower part of the jaw. I'm leaving the 2 pieces together so I can kind of see how they line up. Now to put the teeth in the same way we did for the upper jaw. Fix any dents and build it up, also checking to make sure that the jaw can close. Now that's all dry, go ahead and smooth out the bottom jaw, create the tongue. You can see the 2 pieces all dried. Painted the tongue with some pink acrylic, the Mehron mango and white mixture for the lower jaw and upper lip. This is the meshy material I use to give the pieces something to grab onto for the skin. Add some Telesis Beta Bond Plus onto the pieces, press the material down into the glue, and then use a little more of that Beta Bond on top to help seal it. And go ahead and cut some darts in the material if needed. Make sure that the 2 pieces are together. Hold it in place and use some powder to mark where the piece will lay. Color around the mouth, leaving a gap between the painted area and the powder. And take some of that Telesis 8F adhesive and glue the piece down, and carefully pressing the material into the skin. At this point, you're also going to want to make sure that you open your mouth really wide to check that you'll be able to articulate the pieces. Stipple some latex around the edges, then taking single layer paper towel over the edge and stipple more latex over that. I'm gonna start working on the rest of the scales around the face while the latex dries. And also added some smaller scales in between the larger scales we painted. For the brow area, I did keep the scales closer together just to give it a little different of a look than the rest of the body. And you're going to want to make sure that you have a straw handy if you need a quick coffee break. Skin Illustrator Zero Color Powder to powder all the latex area. And let's get all that painted with the Mehron Amazon Green. Also stippling some of that mango and white mixture to help blend the piece into the rest of the face. Again, with the dark green, we're back to creating grids to make more and more scales. At this point, you should be feeling a little crazy. But just hang in there, because the effect is worth it. Added some little spots of the Mehron Paradise Paint dark green and then taking the white to highlight the brow and top edge of the lower jaw. Throw in the scaleras, finish up those eyes. KVD Super Pomade in graphite around the lash line, and then using the Mehron Paradise Paint, pop in some starker white highlights around the eyes. Then using a mixture of black and dark green, airbrush some more dimension in the shadow areas. And now you're just an alligator. So let's make that headpiece. Now this is the first time I've ever done something like this. Luckily there are templates for this. I'm doing the Demon template. This is at a 70% print size. Using barge to adhere the EVA foam together. I'm just trying to pretend like I know what I'm doing. Not bad for my first go at these. Go ahead and Dremel the edges down where needed and use some black foam clay to clean up any gaps. Dry and sand it. For the headpiece, took a panel and warmed it up with the heat gun and pressed it to a stone cast. Used some two-way tape to tape it in place so that I could Dremel the edge and taper it. Now I'm just going to glue those horns onto the headpiece and use some of that black foam clay to clean up the joints. Painted the headpiece with Rust-Oleum Imagine Metallic spray paint in gold. Took a strip of EVA foam for the strap. I hot glued one end to the headpiece, placed it on my head, and make sure that you open your mouth so that strap is not too tight. First marking is before, the second one I would be able to fully open my mouth. Go ahead and clean up the strap and add some more distressing, some Skin Illustrator. Now you're Alligator Loki. Thanks for hanging out.